But who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the casual stream with your host, Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. We haven't done a casual stream for a couple of weeks. We haven't done an episode of the Hardcore Casual in even longer. I'm thinking almost 8 to 9 weeks. That will be rectified because straight after this, I've actually done an episode which is I literally just finished recording and editing, and it's currently uploading to YouTube as we speak. So within half an hour of this live finishing, that will be uploaded, and there will also be another episode tomorrow because there's quite a few things to talk about. So it's only right that I kind of give my thoughts and opinions on some of that stuff. But yeah, how is everyone doing? How has everyone's week been? Has everyone been enjoying the boxing from the weekend just gone? Like, let me know what's good. And also, I hope I've got enough light here. Obviously, using this webcam is better than the regular cam on the laptop, but you do need quite a lot of light in and around. So yeah, hopefully I'm doing all right. But I changed that light bulb. I've only just noticed. Anyway, let's see what the people are saying. So shout out to Ahija Selassie, #1 in the building. He's saying surely he sues whoever stopped him fighting in the UK for 2 years, but then again he criticised Haney for suing Ryan. But yeah, but I guess it's a bit different suing the board than it is suing another fighter. Shout out to Philip Ants in the building. It's been long since we had a casual stream. Yes, it has been. They will be back to regular staples. Man like Mulla in the building as well. Shout out to you. We still need to sort out that we still need to sort out that whole big get together and that. So we'll talk. SWJ, shout out to you in the building as well, man. Like Jonah 31. Yes, and obviously, yes. So let's see, bigging up everyone as he should. So I'm just gonna let this populate for a little bit. Hope everyone's doing well. But yeah, so shout out to Jam Down 187 in the building. YouTube didn't even notify me the stream to start. Some bad mind thing. Well, luckily for you, we've only just started. We ain't even got into no big talking points yet. I'm leaving it another 2-3 minutes before we get cooking on certain things. But to give everyone a bit of a heads up on what's going to kind of be taking place in the episode. So the episode is going to be talking about Frank and the DAZN thing. So obviously, I know we're going to adjust and talk about that here as well. Anthony Joshua not taking this rematch. What does this ultimately mean for him? Is more so where we're getting with it in this video. And then we're also going to be talking about Conor Benn and his situation in the video tomorrow. We got to talk about a little bit of this Salman Khalif stuff that's been going on the last couple of days. I've got some thoughts on that. Some people may not like me, but I'm used to it. And also, we're talking a little bit about things from the other side when it comes to Daniel Dubois and who he could potentially be fighting if Joshua's not taking that fight in February. Now, you guys are going to be very surprised at who I think that guy might be. I'm not going to say now. You guys are going to have to watch the video tomorrow for that one. But yeah, I don't think you guys are going to see it coming. But when I break down how I've come to this conclusion, it's going to make all the sense in the world. So yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. But yeah. Ahija Selassie says it won't be Parker. You never know. I mean, you could be right. Philip Answer, Bricktop doing U-turn, thought he wasn't going to be on the app. Well, a lot of people was talking negatively about the app. Again, you're going to hear all of that in the video too. But yeah, look, let's, I guess we can talk about that before we get into the crux of any other thing. It is a bit of a 180, although you can't necessarily hold someone to, what they said or what they did 2 years ago. I personally like to, or at least like to hold them accountable to it, even if I can't necessarily hold them to that word. But it is very much, with new evidence, with new data, sometimes your thoughts and your opinions change. And as a person, you should have the right to change your opinion when new evidence gets presented to you. But that doesn't mean that you can't, or you shouldn't at least have to give, a statement or a retraction, or be admonished for your previous thoughts and feelings on something. Like, you're still gonna have to go through that process of acknowledging that either you were wrong, or that at the time it was different, and I regret maybe saying what I said, but we're here now. Let bygones be bygones, etc. I just so that's it, especially old people who are 800 years old. They don't know any better. Oh, no, I missed a couple. What is this? Okay, so everyone threw Ben Davison under the bus after AJ versus Dubois, but look at his game plans for Wardley and Masood. AJ's the problem, sadly. Trainers feel like they have to pander to him in the corner. That's a nice. It's just a spicy take. It's not somewhere that I went with it in my video, but it's a take I can't really say too much about it. Could you ever see the PBC being on the app next year or something? Well, if we're talking specifically about the zone, I did speak about that in the video. What I will say is it would make sense for them to do so now, especially as they managed 5 dates this year. 4 pay-per-view, 1 non-pay-per-view, and the non-pay-per-view one was paid for totally by an Australian outfit, so the PBC didn't even put no money up for it. They are on an app now technically with Prime, but yeah, if they need to kind of get a move on, and they probably need to license their fighters out to the app at this point, especially if they want regular dates. And the one thing is the zone are going to give you money. Like, Amazon ain't giving you nothing, no other terrestrial channels are giving you anything, but the zone will at least give you a little bit of bread. You can go from 5 dates next year to 10. They give you 10 dates, they might give you 12, 1 a month. Don't think you can really argue with that. Mulla is crazy, because I said when TNT bought BT Sport that Frank would end up at the zone. Oh man, predicted it from then. TNT and Discovery Plus and all them lot. Yeah, it's one of them ones. I think some people thought in the back of their head, and I could see them on the app at some stage, but I thought they was comfortable, to be honest. I thought that the TNT thing was interesting. Obviously, BT is where they had their major crux of support, but I thought TNT would ride it out a little bit, but maybe the numbers ain't what they wanted, or maybe they're starting to pare back on some of the commitments that they made before. Not sure. Shout out to man like James in the building. Pleased to have you here. Amazon, yeah, potentially. I think that's done at this point. I think Prime can't sustain themselves on Prime, because Prime ain't giving PBC no money. And you've seen that by the fact they've only been able to do 4 fights this year, all pay-per-views. And then the one non-pay-per-view was bankrolled exclusively by an Australian outfit in America. Like, that's actually embarrassing. But, that's their business. SWJ isn't Top Rank's ESPN contract up soon. I see them being the next ones to go to the zone under the Riyadh season umbrella. Yeah, their contract is up in August. But Todd DeBooth basically said that they're looking at multiple options, like multiple different broadcast rights. So the chance could be that maybe they get to re-up something with ESPN in the States, but then they do a DAZN thing globally, or like a Prime thing in Japan, because obviously they do have Junto Nakatani and the New Way kind of under co-promotional contract, so maybe they might try to license and leverage some more stuff that way and get more rights fees from that area of the world. They could also do the Riyadh season thing as well. I'm sure Todd DeBooth is a lot more in the know about that, or a lot more willing to work in that field than Bob Arum is at the minute. I think Bob doesn't even really care. He just kind of, sometimes I think he just thinks every day getting up out of bed is a hassle. As much as he loves boxing, I can see that certain things he's like, yeah, I'm too old for this. Look at the dead zone, it's alive. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know what dead zone kind of represents now technically to all of these people? If you remember the Riyadh season card, the Wembley Stadium edition, where everyone died and then they just magically all came back to life. And obviously the whole thing was the DAZN and Riyadh season of bringing the sport of boxing back to life in the public. That's basically kind of, I guess, that's the whole theme and the thematic arc of DAZN in the American markets and the UK markets to a lesser extent. It's this place, no one wants to go there, it's the dead zone. All of a sudden now it's alive and popping. You know, it is what it is. James, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years Eddie and Frank could be running the US market. It's not a crazy take. To be honest, I think Eddie's got more of a chance of doing it than Frank. But that being said, they're still going to need to collab, because unfortunately, when it comes to the US platforms, Top Rank has the best fighters. They also market them, and they move them in the best way to get them to maximize their abilities. Obviously PBC, all of their people are going to be out of the game within the next 2-3 years, because remember, they didn't pick up no new stars. They literally piggybacked everyone that was either just on the cusp of greatness or in their prime. So all of their rosters are about to deplete, and they ain't signing no one new. So it will be Golden Boy, Top Rank, and then Matchroom USA. I mean, Frank's got a couple of guys who I think he signed from, either PBC or maybe just at the amateurs over there. But it's going to take a while for his stable of US cohorts to be anything substantial. So I don't really see too much of that just yet. Shout out to Emma Willis in the building. I can't lie, Emma, I've missed interacting with you. I'm going to have to start calling you. I might have to start calling you. I have to start calling you Sweet Poison from now on. Emma is the new Gabriella Fondora of the chat. Like, no nonsense, just hard hits. No Brit will run America. Brits do the best versus the best. Americans despise that. They prefer to argue about the best instead. See, that's why it's Sweet Poison over here. AKA the Dark Rose. Shout out to Emma. Hydra Selassie Oscar talking about 5 versus 5 with Matchroom, but when they talked about it in January, he wasn't interested. Yeah, Oscar talks just for the sake of talking at this point. To be honest, I think the only thing he's relevant for now is this quote-unquote clapback Thursdays, which doesn't make sense, because how can you clap back for something that someone hasn't said? It's like you might as well call it pre-clap Thursdays. Yeah, maybe them ones that you have to go to the clinic to get some prescriptions before you go into some tainted waters. I don't know about them things, but that's about the most I can equate it to, because clap back don't make no sense when no one ain't clapping at you. Right? Are you talking about the Wembley edition card? Yes, that's what I was referring to. Americans say Eddie get you beat, hun. Brits will never succeed. Americans are too slow and like to sabotage themselves. Can't argue too much on that one. The DAZN being an exclusive boxing app isn't the smartest business idea in the long run. It's not exclusive. Or do you mean exclusive as in it's the only one showing boxing, or it's only dedicated to boxing? Because that's not the case. They've got sports rights all over the world. They've got American football. They've got some basketball stuff in some territories. They've got boxing, F1, German football, Italian football in certain territories. Like place for place, they've got certain contracts sewn up. so they're not exclusively boxing, which makes them a good one-stop shop for just sports in general. The only thing that makes it's a little difficult to do on there, you can't geotag, or you can geotag, you can't really hack the geotag too tough. You can get into your account from somewhere else, but you can't flip over a VPN and then watch like the zone from another market kind of thing. So yeah, you're always stuck to your particular content. There's only to get some Premier League rights when it comes up next to bid on. I think they will, because Sky Sports are dropping. I think they're starting to drop their rights because they've lost a lot of subscribers recently, and I'm not sure if they can afford them. Whereas obviously the zone are prepared to buy rights at a deficit and lose money now if it means getting people in later. Even if they only get, say, 20 matches a year or something, or 20 matches a season in the first year or something like that, people will come over to subscribe, same as they did with Prime Video. Did you see Oscar saying that Matchroom have no fighters to 5v5? Yeah, like I said, Oscar says mad stuff. Shout out man like Danny Glover, Fight Fan TV Live. If you guys ain't joined up to Fight Fan TV Live's channel, make sure you're subscribed to him when he does his Neutral Corner podcast. Most of them are very insightful. There's still a couple I haven't watched just because I don't necessarily like the person that he was interviewing, but I still respect it. So make sure you go over there and log in. Shout out to BJC. My bro, only want to hear your views on Ben and him being cleared. Don't worry, that's coming out shortly. I'm just doing my well, it's like Eddie said, he pretends he's happy about all this, but deep down he's burning inside. Man like Toby Bartlett in the building, salute to you, salute. Base, they've got license for other sports, but it's not in the correct markets. Yeah, I get what you mean, but they will get a lot of those licenses that they've got will start to transfer over. For instance, the Italian rights and the German rights and all that stuff, eventually they'll get those rights for over here, because who else has got them? You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna, Eurosport ain't gonna be a problem for them to just take over the Italian ones. There's not enough going on in and around, Sky Sports and TNT. All of them will start to switch over here soon enough. Don't worry. Bless up. Shout out to Tony, pugilist boy, man like Tony. Big ups to you. I know who you don't like. That's a big episode. I'm not just talking about that particular episode. There's been a couple, but most of the time I won't watch the episode, but I'll click on it and just leave a like and everything, just so you get the view. But yeah, wasn't he not cleared 2 years ago? He was. We're going to talk about that in a moment. I think Sky have German League. I think that and TNT Serie A. Yeah, but again, I don't think they've got full rights to both. But even then, those rights are all about they've got to re-up. And I don't know if they're going to have the money. Well, not so much they're going to have the money, if they're going to have the will to want to re-up on those leagues that I don't think get them as much traffic as the Premier League. I think TNT will go all out to get all of the Premier League rights, because that's their bread and butter. But in terms of the Bundesliga and Serie A and Ligue 1, the French league, I think they'll probably say, we can let those ones go. All right. Now we've got all of the little small talk and all the comments out of the way. Yeah, so look, let's talk about Conor Benn. Now, like I said, I've just done a video, so I won't give out like all of my takes. But that being said, if we look at his whole situation, here's the thing: unless you want Conor Benn to be gone like indefinitely or for life, if you want to ban him for life, that's cool. I respect that view, and I can understand anyone who has that thought process. But if we're just considering, a ban, time served, time spent, all that stuff, this has been going on for nearly 26 months at this point, since when that first fight happened. And when I guess the first test came into fruition was, I think it was July. of 2022. So we're talking actually closer to 30 months. This whole thing's been going on. Yes, he's had 2 fights in that time as well. But we also have to remember and take into account those 2 fights that he had. He was cleared to box. They was under no suspension. Yes, the BBBOC didn't want to renew his license, but he had license from elsewhere. He was free to fight anywhere else in the world, and technically he could have used the license that he had from I think was it Texas, the Texas Commission license that he had, and he actually could have applied to box in the UK under that license, and there wouldn't really have been any. It would have. I mean, look, the BBBOC could have refused it, but legally at that point, because he was cleared of wrongdoings, there's not really much they could have done. Really and truly, I think they would have had to accept his application, unless at that point they would say, well, it might be bringing things into disrepute, so let's not kind of go down that route just yet. But I mean, look, ultimately, it's mad because it's the NADP who have twice cleared him, and on the first time, remember, it wasn't UCAD that said that they wanted him to be banned again. It was actually the BBBOC that had appealed what the NADP had said. So, you know, the appeal under the ban under UCAD went back into play while they, you know, had time to maybe present their case, which is what they wanted to do. They wanted to, you know, go back in. They didn't trust the evidence, but ultimately the burden of proof was then on the British Board of Control to prove the guilt, more so than it was Conor to prove his innocence, because they had already, whether it was argued on jurisdiction the first time, argued on accidental ingestion, argued on it wasn't actually there, the burden of proof at that point became part of the BBBOC, because Conor had submitted wherever he submitted to NADP for them to believe that the rights for him to be suspended is not is not valid. So they went through all of this time. Another, what was it now? I can't remember when he first got reinstated. I think it was October last year, if I'm not mistaken. But after all of that, all this time has elapsed, and I guess they still had no burden of proof to be able to prove that he naturally ingested anything, and there also wasn't any and I guess he had proved within reasonable doubt that nothing was, you know, of his own doing, to the point where they just had to say, all right, you know what, we've just got to let this one go. And yeah, so the NADP, you know, ultimately they cleared him twice on the same thing, because what they've said, they haven't said, oh, a retrospective ban has now been served, or understandings come to place, he will be an advisor, or he will help us in such and such. They just said there's no proof that he willingly ingested or that he took anything, and that, you know, he's clear, any charges against him are dismissed. That's what they said. It's not like, oh, time served or retroactively. They said dismissed. That is very telling. That means that they are now throwing out the option of him being dirty, which means they've actually thrown out the option of him being able to be charged and made to serve a ban, whether retrospectively or not. So that also means on his record, there's not going to be any backdated ban or this, that. It's like a DBS. The DBS is technically clean. That's actually kind of big. Now, yes, it took 30 months to happen, but to not have that on your record, whether the people believe it or not, is a totally different story. Like, most people are going to think he's dirty, and cool, I don't have any issues with people thinking what they think, but his record is never going to say that he popped. They might say there was an adverse finding, but the record will also say he was cleared of any wrongdoing. He was cleared of all issues. So, I mean, look, it is what it is, like it or not. And also, I know that a lot of people were talking about, oh, well, look at as soon as he's off the gear, so on, so and so, like now he ain't got no power, or he can't knock no one out all of a sudden. With a lot of people forgetting one very key fact is that obviously the first thing is that if you're fighting guys at 154, for the most part, they're probably coming down from a naturally heavier weight than the guys that you were fighting previously. Some of them were undersized, let's be real. Outside of that, you got to remember, when you move from 147 pounds to 154, you move from 8-ounce gloves to 10-ounce. Those extra 2 ounces can make a difference. Like, obviously some people are big enough punches that it doesn't, but for some, that's a little extra cushioning. You get used to those punches a bit quicker, or a bit more, because there's more padding, there's more absorption in that glove than normal. So all of those things kind of put together, it's feasible, it's understandable why he may not have the same power at 154 that he had at 147 wearing bigger gloves. Will that constantly be a loophole? Maybe not, because as you grow into the weight, I guess you're going to have to be expected to work some way into you being able to get around maybe not being able to just be explosive, and you've got to figure out how to break someone down a bit better instead. But ultimately, like, that's kind of how I see it. We go back into the chat, make sure I haven't missed anybody. Let's get these likes up for Base. It's all free, and show Base some respect. I appreciate you, Toby. And yes, if you haven't clicked the like button, please do. Don't know what number we're on at the minute, but yeah, every like helps, every interaction helps, every comment, all that good stuff. Please do. Emma, him being cleared by them twice is telling he's legit innocent. I mean, it could be that way. I know I put out that video saying I thought he was moving guilty with certain things that he was saying, and the way his story was changing a little bit, but he can't be cleared by the same panel twice. And with them ultimately saying the charges are dismissed. That's the big thing for me, is that verbiage. And the charges are dismissed because there is no proof that this was done as a on purpose or knowingly, or there's no evidence that the crime basically took place. So if the BBBOC did refuse him, couldn't Conor have had a case for restriction of work? Yes, he could have, but I guess at that point you've still got to go through the courts. Maybe it was just a much easier situation to, while they was working through all the particulars, just to go, you know what, we'll fight in America, because I'll get out, I'll get active, I'll take a pay cut or whatever I need to do. I just want to fight, I just want to keep my activity. And even though, he probably should have had about 5 fights in this period of time, or maybe 6 even, he had 2, so it's not like he's been, no boxing for all that 34 months and that. At least he had a couple of fights in there to stave off a little bit of ring rust. Yes, there will be some to come back, but stay relatively active. It could have been a lot worse. And I guess ultimately one thing you have to ask yourself, or what he has to ask himself, is, was clearing his name worth the time spent out of the ring? Because if he maybe had have accepted a plea deal or a punishment, maybe the whole thing would have been done a year ago or a year and a half ago, and he could have just resumed his career that way. But I guess he felt clearing his name was more important than the activity. You know what? I respect it. Can't do anything but. Emma Willis, I hope you're good. Yeah. She says that she's doing well. I agree. How can you prove your innocence twice and still be guilty? Well, I guess all the Eggman will still say he's guilty. Well, yeah. Eddie's got his heir to AJ back. Well, let's hope, because remember, there's not so much. There's one thing, the damage to reputation and all that, but the trajectory that he was on, we don't know where that's going to lead to now. Maybe they might just look to swerve him away from the title fights and just have him in big money fights that are easy to navigate. But yeah, obviously the momentum behind making him the successor to AJ is stalled quite a bit. So they got to do some work to rebuild that. Big up, man, like Ryan Hutchinson. Shout out to you. Hope you're good. Thank you for being here. Abs, October Red, passing through. Thank you very much. As long as you left the like passing through, that's all I care about. Thank you. Most people don't know that NADP are ruthless. If they can't even get you on strict liability, you're legit innocent. I mean, yeah, that's very truthful. To be fair, they don't play. They're probably worse than UCAD in that sense. Hopefully this is the end of the Conor Benn saga, because I'm just tired of now. It's getting boring. Surprised he got off the first time, but his case being dismissed sealed it. Yep. Fight fan, he served his time now, in my opinion. People have been on far worse and still boxed after bans and currently are still fighting now, i.e. Gerald Miller, Tyson Fury, Hughie Fury, just to name a few. Yep. If Ben gets a belt quick, he'll lose to Boots. Yeah, they'll definitely do the unification if he can grab one of them. But who's he? I mean, Stanionis. You've got Jaron Ennis. No, not Jaron Ennis. Sorry. Stanionis. Is it Stanionis that has got the mandatory with what's his face? The Uzbek. I can't remember his name now. That unimpressive to me. Or is it Brian Norman that's got the mandatory? One of the two. He has to play villain and make people hate him bad and want to see him get knocked out. That's it, SW. Thank you, Shakram Giasov, Wonder Boy. Yeah. But I'm trying to think. I think he's got the mandatory against Stanionis. I don't think it's Brian Norman. I think he's mandatory as Stanionis. He's the mandatory for Stanionis' WBA. So yeah, that will be interesting. Barrios on Jake Paul card. Yes, he is. Can't remember who he's fighting, but he is on the card, defending the WBC belt. So there's him, Stanionis, Brian Norman, and Boots. So hopefully, because Boots is fighting this weekend and Barrios is fighting next weekend, maybe we can get a little unification from the two if they both come through their fights unscathed. And at least that'll be the end of the IBF mandatories with Boots for at least 18 months, because they don't have a secondary mandatory in place yet. So they will have to do a mandatory probably within the next 10 to 12, and then you probably have to fight them 6 months after. So Stanionis ain't gonna come at his mom's house in his home country to fight Conor Benn. No, actually, he would. The money on offer will be. Don't get me wrong, Stanionis might be a PBC fighter as such, but he's not scared to fight people. And considering he ain't had no work, he was only able to fight once against a last-minute opponent the other day. He's gonna be hungry for the money, so he will come out and fight, especially Conor Benn, because he'll see that fight as extremely winnable, and he'll make more money for that fight than any of the other fights, barring maybe Mario Barrios in a unification on a PBC pay-per-view card. I mean, I sound dirty just even saying that, but that card will end up being pay-per-view. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. But yeah, look, overall, Conor Benn is in the clear for now, so it looks, even though if you look at the UCAD statement, they did say that in accordance to their rules, they will be reviewing their options. So they may try and hold another appeal, which I think will get thrown out this time, but the fact that they still have the option to try it is a bit crazy. But yeah, I can imagine that is the next thing to come from them. Let's see. I forgot how good that Estrada Bam fight was until YouTube kindly reminded me. Yeah, man, that was top draw, and it showed Estrada still got a little something left in the tank, but it's just not enough for that naturally, bigger, younger, stronger opponent. Um, Conor Benn versus Josh Taylor still makes the most sense to me. Um, well, I know Josh is gonna move up to. No, do you know a fight that I like? Oh, ouch. A fight that I like here. I'm not gonna lie. Conor Benn against Regis Prograis at 147. Because Regis said he wants to move up. He wants to get some. He wants to, finally put on some size. He said he's tired of being skinny. He might have lost a step. Maybe his legs ain't what they used to be, but he's still got that power. And we need to see Conor's chin tested properly by someone, of a, of a good size. And that he can crack. So that's what I'd like to see. Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis in his comeback fight, or maybe the fight after if Regis wants to have a little gimme first and then come back into that one. If he carries on, that is. If he doesn't, then fair enough. But I think that would be a good fight. And they will appeal last minute again. Well, I think they won't get the options to do that this time. I don't think. Two fun fights. Yeah, agreed. Conor, yeah, I mean the Josh Taylor one is cool as well. I could see that happening. I'm also trying to think. But I won't lie. A fight that I think I would like Conor to come back to. And I said this back last year, before the ban got reinstated. I would love to see Conor Benn fight Blair Cobbs. I was one of the first people talking about that fight, and then all of a sudden, other people started jumping on the bandwagon for it, and trying to give me my credit, but it's fine. But no, I would like that fight, and if that could be his comeback fight, brilliant. Blair Cobbs fought, I think, about 4 months ago now, so he's not too, he won't be too out of shape. He'll be able to sell the fight on his side. Conor will definitely sell it on this side. You get a nice bit of needle, and it will be a fun fight while it lasts. And Blair Cobbs is actually not a terrible boxer. He's okay. I think he'd be able to work around some of that power early if Conor still has any. You could even do it at catchweight if you really wanted to. But yeah, that at 147, I'd watch that. You could have that as a main event of one of the British cards. I'd take it. Then, are there any other Queensberry welterweights that can fight Conor Benn? Echo Esserman. I think all the others, they're basically like the prospects. Echo's the only one that they've actually got. Oh, and well, Echo and the guy that beat him, whose name I can't remember now. It's a good thing I got my phone next to me. Someone's gonna probably get it in the chat before I even get to this, but Harry Scarf, yeah, that might be the only person. If he's even still with Top Rank, Queensberry, 12-2. The question will be, will they see that as a good enough fight? But look, British Commonwealth. The only other person, it wouldn't be Queensberry, it would be like Chris Congo, from the Hennessy Sports / Boxer side. Conor needs to go fight some Mexican opponents, get back to the days when he was trash talking in Spanish. Yeah, but the problem is that works for his brand to a certain extent, but we need we need it for, because most of that Spanish audience are gonna to some degree understand English to some degree, but we need the back and forths where everyone who speak English can sort of understand what they're saying and have the jabs and the barbs that way as well. Now, luckily for some of us bilingual or bilingual light people who will be able to understand kind of what's being said, we can follow along. But it's you need you want the the English, and you want the English guy against the American. That's what you want. The two different sets of banter trying to clash and gel with each other. I mean, Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia would be a good fight, to be honest. I could see that fight happening when Ryan comes back. If only Rolly was a welterweight, that would be a great build-up. Yeah, well, truth say they could both speak in English and Spanish in that one. Obviously, with Rolly being Cuban, although he's probably the worst Cuban you'll ever see in your life. But yeah, Rolly being Cuban, obviously Ben having lived in Spain for God knows how long, they could just mix and match on the trash talk. I'm trying to think, would Rolly ever move up? To be honest, I can't see Rolly moving up to welterweight, unless actually maybe you could say that him boiling down to 140 affects his punch resistance. Maybe you could use that one. Say he goes up to 147, so he can take a better shot. But he is also a guy that was fighting at 135 as well, so he would still be a naturally smaller guy in the ring to Conor. Be interesting. I'm trying to think who else. Samuel Antwi, maybe. That might be an okay fight, because I remember when who was it, Antwi, when he knocked out Mason Cartwright last year. That might be a decent fight. But again, they're going to only put him in against people that have a name in the States, because that's how they're going to try and build him. So he probably won't get on that Queensbury hype unless it's an Echo Esserman in a Saudi thing. Shout out to People United. So the whole entire reason for taking enhancing substances is to increase speed, power, resistance, and durability. True or false? So we'll have to see. Not always. I mean, you would think so, but sometimes people take those substances because medicinally, like, they feel like they have to. Or some people's prescriptions have quote unquote PEDs in them because their immune systems are dead and need boostings and whatnot. And that's why some of them also have TRT exemptions, like testosterone replacement treatment. So yeah, I would agree that the majority of the reason why people would take them is to gain an edge, but some of them is not even really to increase. It's more for recovery, because they find it hard to recover from hard sessions. Again, I'm not here trying to advocate for nobody. I'm just saying that there's many different reasons why these things can be happening overall. But yeah, but look, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole Conor thing at the moment. So, like I said, I got the video. The video will come out probably by 9 o'clock. It's literally uploaded on YouTube now. I've done the checks. It's ready to go. The only thing I have to do is do the graphic and add the hashtags, which I can do within 5 minutes after coming off of the stream. So that should be out by, we'll say 9 o'clock the latest. It's hopefully 8:45. I'm going to close this off in about 10 minutes. First one back. But yeah, about 8:45, 9 o'clock, that episode will be out. And then I will be finishing up another episode to come out probably tomorrow around about 6 p.m. Most of that's done as well, but just in case there's one or two other stories that I want to add my thoughts to between now and then. And then obviously, we'll do all the picks on Friday as normal. But okay, so while this is going on, I'm gonna get the last sets of the chat in. Um, I'm gonna go until the end of this set of music, so we've got about 3 minutes or so. Then I'm gonna drop that video out afterwards. Also, next video, like I said, about 6 o'clock. And then don't forget, Ade's live streaming at 8 until about 10. He said. So I'm gonna see if I can chop it up with him during that. But yeah, look, we'll wait and see. The beauty of the pencils in the building. Shout out to you. Greetings, base in the chat. It's been a while. Respect. Yes, it has been, and I promise it won't be this long again, unless I'm on holiday. And even then, I will bring the equipment. You just won't get any live streams. Maybe if I'm in America, but outside of that, you guys know that. You guys know very much that in all the other places I go, Wi-Fi isn't for streaming purposes. So it is not normally fit for purpose. But yeah, you can get episodes at least, or other videos here and there. Yeah, that's right, Philip. It's tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So the video will be at 6 o'clock for people to watch. Then you jump into the live stream anytime from 8 until around about 10, I think he's going. Checking if there's any more chats coming through. And when we do a casual stream tomorrow, we'll I'm gonna get back to your comment in a minute. When the next time we do the casual stream, I meant to say I'm gonna go for probably like an hour and a half, and we will also I'm gonna let people call in as well. We will be doing a few more the watch alongs for the WWE events if they come up. I did actually want to do Crown Jewel, but because I was in Birmingham covering the Masood and Davis fight, I couldn't turn that one down. So I decided obviously I wasn't going to do it from there because I would have missed accreditations and that. But I think the next one I think I might do Survivor Series. I know it's on the 30th. Oh wait, that's a point. No, I can't do Survivor Series because that's also another Birmingham trip. I'm going to be in Birmingham, so I'll do Saturday night main events on the 14th of December. I know that's going to clash. Actually, no, it won't clash with the Monte Carlo card. It will be after that, so that'll be the next one I do there. Ade tomorrow, so basically you will have to watch their team in Europa League. I'll watch the team quite happily. Now that I know that there's a plan coming with a new style of football, which I think will be implemented, but we'll talk about that later. Jam down. To answer an earlier point you raised, Joshua's heart hasn't been in boxing for a little while. Him choosing to fight a boxing 0-1 novice for the bag told me all I needed to know. But I'm going to say there's circumstances around that. Remember, he didn't want to do that until Tyson Fury legitimized him. So I won't give him full stick for that one. But yeah, I think even Alassi's admit that one's unfair. I can't give you that one. What movies have you seen recently that are good this year? Well, good is subjective, right? I haven't watched any particularly good films, but I've watched entertaining films. Like I saw all 3 of the Terrifier films in the space of 2 weeks. They had a double bill come on, and the first one, Terrifier #1, I thought this is awful. But some of the deaths and that was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. #2 was highly entertaining when they tried to make it a bit more supernatural. Plus, Chris Jericho was in it, so shout out to him. And he was also in #3 as well. As a shout out to Chris Jericho for that. The #2 and #3 were very entertaining to watch. #1 frustrated me and didn't make sense. And if anyone's not watched the film, I'm going to spoil something in the first one, right? But the first one is from 2016. There's no reason why you haven't seen it before. But in the first film, from what I can tell, there's no supernatural presence to Art the Clown, right? He's just a deranged guy in clown makeup and etc. etc. Every minute in this film, someone is either hitting him over the head with something, or they're kicking him, or they whack him with something and they knock him down and then they run off. I'm sorry. if that is me and this guy is there with chainsaws and knives, guns, and all this different apparatus, if I get him on the ground, I'm stomping him out till I see soup on the ground. Like every part of him has to like get disemboweled, and he can't. There's no chance for him to get up and chase you afterwards, or you just knock him out and you run. No, you've got the weapon. Use the weapon in that scenario. That's the one thing that frustrated me about the first film. But in films 2 and 3, when it became more of a supernatural thing, all right, now we're cooking, and that's where the fun began. I'm going to read a couple more comments. I know I've turned off the music. I'm going to a couple more and then we're out of it. And he only fought France because of fear. Oh, there you go. He said same thing I said. All right, there you go. Beauty of the Pencil, good to see you. One's been very busy lately. 100%. I'm trying to loosen the schedule a little bit. And all of that. Okay. Salute. Shout out. All right. Also, AJ wasn't the champion. Fury was inside the Ngannou fight. Yep. So we get all of that. Plus Wilder lost to Parker to stop the fight, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was supposed to be the fight that was taking place then. All very true. Big ups. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the comments. Thank you very much. We'll be back. Like I said, give me half an hour or so. Next video uploaded. Tomorrow we go again with another video, maybe a live stream over the weekend if we find something decent. If not, then more casual streams next week, more episodes next week. I'm back to how it should be, and you guys got to hold me accountable to my words. So when I say I'm back, I'm back. All right. But yeah, until the next one, thank you guys very much for watching. I will catch you on the next stream. But until then, it's Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who better than me?